everybody. Welcome to the Big Igloo Podcast, Theology Thursdays.
Shalom.
Where we provide the smart theology and dumb dad jokes. So,
correct.
I was thinking about this. This is going to be kind of a Christmas special, and we're just a couple weeks out from Christmas. Hopefully, you got all your holiday shopping done. Travis, how you doing?
No.
Okay.
I did.
That's the
I had
24th.
mine done last month.
Really?
Yeah.
Last month. Wow.
Yeah.
John, you're on top of it.
I'm so excited for it too. There's funny gifts.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to look forward to that.
Yeah,
maybe in a future episode, you'll have to update us on that. We don't want to spoil anything now yet. I just have to, I really just got my wife to take care of. And so the kids are,
nice.
we actually already have presents under the tree.
Oh, wow.
So,
I don't wrap. They're just in a box somewhere.
are they hidden though? Are they hidden well?
No, they don't live in my house. So I don't have to worry about that.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, speaking of that, we got to provide the dumb dad joke so we can get to the smart theology today.
Yep.
So I was thinking about this. Of course, I like Star Wars. I like Christmas. Nothing better than when you can bring those two worlds together. Okay.
Right on.
So how did Darth Vader know what Luke was getting for Christmas?
How?
He felt his presence.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, let's go.
Grown factor was
Great.
high on that one. So anyway.
Yeah, it was. Yes. That's +2 in the dad jokes today.
That's right. Well, so what we're going to do is it is the Christmas season. And so we just kind of want to just talk about this. Obviously, you see the signs out there or, I don't know. I remember there was, I used to see this every year. Someone in our community would have Jesus is the reason for the season.
Yep.
Nice little rhyme there.
Yep.
And, as much as our culture maybe drifts away from that or doesn't take time, we want to do that at the Big Igloo Podcast since it's this time of year. And so we're going to go to Luke chapter 1, and we're going to kind of go through Mary's confession here. But let me just ask, what does Christmas invoke for you two? I mean, as you think about it through the years, what has Christmas meant to you?
So Christmas is always huge in our family, like big deal. And mom and dad spent months planning out what we're going to get for Christmas. And it was always big, extravagant. They were always over the top. And so Christmas morning was crazy.
Yeah. That's cool.
Crazy cool. So it's always been like giving. And I mean, we talk about giving all the time. It's kind of year end, whatever, people are getting ready for their taxes. And just Christmas. It's the extra generous.
Yeah.
So I always
look forward to it.
The generous kind of, and the fact that people are on the Christian, or they're talking about Christian things on the radio, Christmas carols.
Yeah.
Some of the theology
in
Christmas carols is deep. And then you have
not grandma got run over by a reindeer.
No, the good ones. The good ones.
Even if grandma deserved it, she's a nasty sinner. No, I'm kidding. That's a little dark.
Real theology.
Yeah. So that's cool, Travis. What about you, John? What did it mean growing up? I mean, what was what were things you look
mine
forward
was the
to?
opposite a little bit. My in the sense of it wasn't always a huge deal.
Okay.
Our presents, I got a lot of socks and underwear in the day,
Right.
but it wasn't out of a place that they didn't want to give me that stuff. It's just out of the financial situation of my family.
Gotcha.
Sure.
And so it wasn't like they didn't want to bless us. They just never did. But their main focus was to direct us to the reason for the season. So we'd always go to church.
Yeah.
We always talked about it. My dad would always pray with us after. And it was always just kind of a intimate moment in a sense of, he always tried to I don't know how to say throw the presents as a side factor for them, which was a great thing. At the time, I didn't appreciate it because I didn't want socks and underwear, But now I appreciate it just for that. My first reaction is always Jesus, not presents.
Oh.
Yeah.
And so it's those little things that was implanted in me and as a kid.
That is good. Yeah, I'd say for myself, I mean, it was just always time with family. The Christmas Eve was always with my mom's side of the family, and so there was always just a lot of fun, a lot of ruckus, a lot of, just getting together. It was always a great time hanging out with my cousins. My grandpa would every Christmas would read the Christmas story before we'd open presents, right?
Nice.
So it was always bringing it back.
Yep.
Grandpa at some point would break down in tears, talk about how much he loved Jesus, and how he just, he wanted all of us grandkids to love Jesus and know Jesus. And so, I mean, that was just always every year. And we kind of had a I was the oldest cousin of all the cousins. And so, me and a couple of the other older ones, we start figuring it out after a while. And it's like, all right, how long you got till grandpa breaks down in tears? You got 10 minutes, you got 15. All right.
That's cool though.
Yeah.
That's really special.
Yeah. It was very special. And definitely something I miss. My grandpa passed away about 13 years ago and just, we still tried to get that side of the family together, but cousins go, they move away, and it's just harder to do. But definitely something that I hold in really high regard. Yeah. And then for my family now, so you get to get creative with new traditions and something that we kind of look forward to. I've tried to really try to make Christmas about other people. And so one of the things that we do, James Robinson's ministry has a Christmas shoe project. And so every year I ask my kids, hey, how much would you give towards this? Because they will supply, they're almost like Croc looking shoes. Okay. That they'll give.
Crocs, baby.
They will give these shoes to kids who have to walk 2 or 3 miles for water, and just talk about, just covering their feet so they don't get infections and things like that. And so that's been something, and it's kind of cool because they'll send us a little Christmas ornament and with the year kind of engraved on it and stuff. So that's something if we've been doing this for a long time. And so our Christmas tree is filling up with these ornaments and stuff, which has been pretty cool. And I hope my kids kind of see that, that, we're trying to make it about, other than just us, right?
Absolutely.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump into this, and of course, this is right away in Luke's gospel. And Travis, you and I did an episode where we kind of talked through some of the themes of Luke, and so I'm going to see if you kind of tap into anything here, if you can recall that episode here, and see if there's anything that you pick up on. But I want to go through this and just kind of set the stage. And something about when we read the Gospels, it's very important that as you study Scripture, that you kind of connect with the heart of the author. I mean, now granted, we're 2,000 years removed. That could be really difficult to do. But Luke, there's a reason why Luke sets the stage a certain way. Think about it. If you're retelling about a movie that you saw, you're going to tell it in a way that it compelled you. You're gonna go right to, there was this amazing scene, right? You might not tell it exactly in order, or you're gonna talk about the parts that were meaningful to you. And Luke, he's doing that. There's reasons why he's stating that. Yeah.
So I do have a question. So you know how Ecclesiastes is like a wisdom book,
right?
What would Luke be?
So Luke it's a gospel narrative. I mean, so it's this element of there's historic things in there, but also there's the life of Jesus. So it's almost kind of a biography of sorts as well. And so and it's escaping me right now. The Greco-Roman biography is kind of the genre of literature. So it definitely falls into that genre, if you will. So good question. So we're going to go to Mary's Magnificat. So this is where she's just gotten the news that she's going to have this baby, this child, right? And so she jumps in, and it says in 1 verse 46, it says, "And Mary said, my soul magnifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior." All right, bonus points. Who knows what's going on right there in that line? It's a very common Hebrew poetic device.
I'm not up on my Hebrew poetic.
It's parallelism.
Okay.
Parallelism, right? Okay. It's stated one way and it comes back and just slightly changes it, right? So my soul magnifies the Lord, my spirit rejoices in God, my Savior. See how those two lines? That's Hebrew poetry right there, okay? All right. "For he has looked on the humble estate of his servant. For behold, from now on all generations will call me blessed. For he who is mighty has done great things for me, and holy is his name. And his mercy is for those who fear him from generation to generation. He has shown strength with his arm. He has scattered the proud in the thoughts of their hearts. He has brought down the mighty from their thrones and exalted those of humble estate. He has filled the hungry with good things, and the rich he has sent away empty. He has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy. And he spoke to our father, as he spoke to our fathers, to Abraham and to his offspring forever." So again, get the picture. This angel has appeared, has told Mary these things are going to happen. She's like, how's this going to happen? I don't even have a husband, okay? But then at some point she believes, and this is her confession. And so what stands out? What stands out to you as you read that?
Okay, you think about God and just the crazy, knowing all the stories of the Old Testament, this really big God. And all of a sudden it's like, he chose me to bring the Savior, like, and just how humble
Yeah.
this whole thing is. Like, she's humble.
Yeah.
She is humbled by this experience. And like, I don't know. I was like, the closest thing I would have is like standing on a mountain and like, looking out at all these huge things. And it's like, I am so very small.
Wow. Yeah.
And like, it's kind of this humbling experience. To me, it's like, this is, I mean,
yeah.
so much so that she's singing about it. Like it's
Yeah.
this song leaping out of her that, yeah.
That's amazing. That's really good. What about you, John?
Humility, and then also, the word excitement. You know what I mean? Like you can just tell she's excited through almost declaring who he is and what he's going to do.
Yeah.
From generations, they will call me blessed. For he is mighty, he has done great things for me in his holy name. His mercies to those who fear him, and just declaring who God is and what he's going to do. And it's just like, it's weird that she's excited though.
Okay.
Because she's not, like you said, not married yet.
Right.
And she is not a high status in society.
No.
And she's in this place where she knows there's going to be a lot of people that's probably going to say, this girl's crazy, or this girl's going to be, or unfaithful, or whatever it is. But she's excited about it. And so to me, it's interesting that she's excited about it.
It's really interesting that you mentioned that, John. I mean, yeah, because in her day and age, and of course, if you know the story or you go on, Joseph finds out you're pregnant. Okay, engagement off. All right,
yeah.
And he's about ready, but in some way, Joseph's going to do it quietly. It's the Bible says, like he's not going to. But then he gets his own messenger. He gets his own message, and so he sees this through. But I mean, think about the level of faith, trust that Mary has. Sheesh. It's almost like okay, I could get stoned for this.
Yeah.
Like I could be killed because I'm pregnant out of wedlock, and or even the shame that could be accompanied, with that. It wasn't uncommon in that day for a Jewish girl. Again, she's probably somewhere around 13, 14, 15.
Oh, so crazy.
Wow.
Which for me, as the father of a 13-year-old, so imagine Lizzie.
Oh, I mean, man,
I'd be like, you got what vision from heaven? I mean, we don't think about these things, but it's like she's a girl. I mean, she's middle school, maybe a freshman. I mean, like when you put it in those terms. And granted, life was different back then. I mean, you could be betrothed at that age. That wasn't uncommon. And life expectancy, in the ancient world was very, very different. So, and in some ways, life seemed to move faster probably. Yeah. People were having children younger and stuff. But in the incredible amount of trust that she must have in God and in this message. And
I say a 13-year-old, that's a lot of maturity through these praises.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I was at 13, I was concerned about if I was getting peanut butter sandwich when I get home.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's definitely a lot different. Well, here's as we think about this. Okay. So imagine the setting now, Luke, there's words in here that I think we should clue in on that really stand out because Luke's kind of setting this stage, but in order to kind of really connect with this, we got to think about, so who is Mary? I mean, on the grand scale of things, you kind of alluded to this. I mean, who is she?
Right. Well, outside of, like, before she was the mother of Jesus?
Yeah.
Honestly, not
just nobody.
Really sure. Yeah.
Just a nobody.
Yeah.
I mean, she is literally a nobody. So now think about this, okay? God of the universe is going to, you've had generations. Just think about, as if you're setting in this time, generation upon generation, God has said he will bring Messiah. He will do all of this. Think about, just think about the United States of America. Where are the most powerful people? Where are they generally?
White House.
Okay, White House, Washington, D.C., okay? Right. We could say maybe the business minds are probably in places like Silicon Valley or New York City, right? Those would be the power centers of the United States. Yeah. So at the time of Israel, Israel in this time, where are the powerful people?
In the palace?
Yeah.
Jerusalem,
right? Yeah. Jerusalem, okay? Where's she at?
Not there.
Not there. She's north, right? She's north in the Galilee. Yeah. She's away from the political power center, right? I mean, Nazareth, right? She's in Nazareth, and so much so. Here's the thing: it's even kind of the joke of like, can anything good come out of Nazareth?
Oh, yeah.
You know, she is like the equivalent of, you know, I'm trying to think of it. What's a town around here that, you know, we, you know, kind of poo-poo.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, can anything good? Oh boy, you're gonna get us in trouble.
Yeah, sorry about that. Old high school drama.
High school, yeah.
Closing your book.
No, I was trying to think of, you know, radio DJs back in the day that used to always make fun of, was it funk or somewhere like that, you know, just because it could probably sound funny or something like that. But, you know, you think about that, you know, every region, every place on the planet, you know, there's always like, whether it's the South or whether it's whatever, you always kind of make fun of a region. And Nazareth, from my understanding, is kind of a place like that. You know, can anything good come out of Nazareth? Like kind of like this, like, oh, there's just a bunch of hicks in Nazareth, you know? And so here it is. Here's this, you know, here's this hick girl, here's this country bumpkin, you know, who doesn't, you know, she's nobody special. I mean, think about God of the universe, like you said, showing up to this girl who might not even, you know, probably wasn't the smartest in her class, wasn't, you know what I mean? Like that's the picture. Yeah. And so it just kind of just even magnifies that even more. And then when you look at these things, how many times she says, you know, he has looked on the humble estate of his servant. That word for humble there really means poor. And she's financially poor. Yeah. Like humble sounds nice, but she's like, I'm poor. Like she wasn't just poor, she was po. You know, they couldn't even afford the extra letters. Another dad joke. There you go. That's how poor they were. They were just po, you know. And so she's referencing this, but she's saying, hey, but from now on, all generations will call me blessed. Like her financial situation's not changing, but she understands there's something more significant. And then just goes on to talk about the lowly, God exalting the lowly. Because why? Yeah. He's just done it for her. Right. He's just done this for Mary. So Travis, so as you think about like our conversation that we had, and if you've not checked out that episode of the podcast, we talk it's you know, Jesus and his encounter with Zacchaeus. And we talk about some of these key themes. Yeah. Are there some themes that you're recalling or remembering here?
Well, so yeah, Zacchaeus was small, right?
Right.
He's
small
kind of
stature.
He was a little bit of the I mean, he was the tax collector. He's kind of the lowly, like the kind of the grime of society.
Despised by his countrymen because of his profession. Yep. Yeah.
And then, I mean, Jesus is like seeking out Zacchaeus. Yeah. Kind of that lowly. Yep. Yeah. He's like, small, like insignificant, seems like.
Yeah. And there's this pivotal moment, and we kind of talked about that in the podcast, you know, whether he's saying, you know, when he tells the Lord, whether it's an act of repentance or whether or not, you know, he's already been doing this idea though, that of him giving his possessions to the poor. And so there's something about that action, whether he's already been doing it, or whether he starts doing it, and that's the debate, you know, that we can have. But the point is this, is that Jesus, it's in that connection that Jesus calls him a son of Abraham. And so which Luke spins, if you look at the Gospel of Luke, Luke is always defending the poor. And so we see this in chapter 1. Mary's like, this is incredible. What's really cool is you can kind of go on from this. And then when they see Zacchaeus, or I'm sorry, what's his name? Not Zacchaeus, Zechariah. Sorry, Zechariah. Okay. Zechariah. Just a little bit later in the chapter, he's the one who said, you know, he would see Messiah, right?
Yeah.
And they bring him on the dedication, and Zechariah is there, and then Zechariah gives this prophecy. And it's kind of cool to look at their similarities between Zechariah, what he's saying, and he talks about bringing low and exalting and all this stuff. But it's cool because Mary is experiencing this. She has this revelation that this is exactly what is happening.
Oh my goodness.
And one more thing here, though. She says this. He has helped his servant, so in verse 54, he has helped his servant Israel in remembrance of his mercy, as he spoke to our fathers, to Abraham, and to his offspring forever. Why, Travis, I'm going to ask you this because we already did this. Yeah. Why is that significant?
Well, he's talking about Abraham, like the offspring. And it keeps popping up, Abraham.
Yeah. And so who is Abraham's offspring?
Isaac, Jacob.
Okay.
Jesus, I mean.
Right. But what's the point that Luke's making?
Oh man,
with this,
you're putting me on the spot.
I am putting you on the spot.
I think I'm caving to pressure. Remind me, Kris. Remind me.
It's all right. It's all right because you know I've spent a little time here in this, so I'm I didn't tell you I was going to do this to you. So No, the point of this, and Luke will set this up, because in the next chapter, John the Baptist is going to be out there baptizing. And there's kind of some people on the shore kind of skeptical. And he says, don't appeal to Abraham as your father. For God could raise up sons of Abraham from these very stones. And so the point Luke is trying to set is already in Mary's praise of God, hey, you've been faithful to Abraham and to Abraham's offspring. Okay. Naturally, we think offspring means genetics, means whatever, but Luke will go the rest of his gospel. Showing that no, the people that you think are in are out, even though they're Jewish.
Yeah,
you remember this now?
Yes. Yeah.
So there's more on that on the Zacchaeus episode, but the people that you think are in are actually out, and the people that you think are out are actually in, and God knows who the true children of Abraham are. That's the point.
Yeah.
Now, why is this significant for Luke?
Pointing out. You're not helping me.
Why is this significant for Luke?
To point out the lowly?
Not just the lowly, but the descendants of Abraham.
Well, I suppose because, Israel would be, if you're a true Israelite, you'd be considered, right? Children of Abraham.
Naturally you would think that. So who is Luke?
He's a Gentile.
A Gentile
doctor. Okay. Yeah.
Why is that significant for Luke?
Is he trying to reconstruct how we naturally think God works?
Yeah, I think so.
So he's bringing in the Gentiles into the fold of...
So our automatic assumption is us, if we're an Israelite, we're the sons of Abraham, but he's trying to reframe that so we can be the sons too.
He is saying, upon Luke's investigation, he's going out saying, you know what stands out to me? This is, I'm throwing this on. Sure. This is the way this is my interpretation of Luke. Okay, I'm not saying Luke says this, but I think there's evidence there. What Luke is doing is he's making the case that from his telling of the life of Jesus, because Jesus knows who's in, he knows who's out, and it's not the people who naturally think they're in just because of where they were born. He's showing, no. The family of Abraham is way bigger.
Yeah.
It's way bigger than you realize, and Luke's a benefactor of that.
So good.
And so when you think about that, because Luke writes not only the Gospel of Luke, but then he writes, the book of Acts.
Yeah.
And then what do you see in the book of Acts? You see the explosion of the message of the gospel to the Gentiles.
Yeah.
Who Luke is a benefactor from.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right? It's really cool. And so the fact that Mary is talking about to his offspring, and then right on the heels of that, you're going to get this, John the Baptist is like, God can raise up sons of Abraham from these stones. And then it's like you start seeing these things. And every time you see the phrase a son or daughter of Abraham or children of Abraham, like it calls these things into question, and that's the stage that Luke kind of sets. So I got one more little bonus for you here. Okay.
There's more.
Wait, there's more. All right. I remember watching the Christmas special last year with The Chosen.
Oh, okay.
And there's a beautiful, they bring Mary's Magnificat into the story.
Oh, okay.
And it's really, really, really good. Are you not up on The Chosen, Travis?
I have not watched a single episode.
Oh my goodness. Before we record another episode, we'll flog you on live television with something, I don't know, Twizzlers or something like that. Twizzlers. You got to get into The Chosen. It's so good. Anyway, that's enough of a plug for The Chosen. But how they did this, John knows. He was there. They bring in this Magnificat. And I don't know what was going on in my studies or whatnot, but I had just studied Hannah or something like that. And I was like, wait a minute. So here's what I want to do. I want to take this. I want to go to 1 Samuel 2, 1 through 10 now. This is really cool, and this is very meaningful for me.
Yeah.
Because I've actually stood where this took place.
Oh, yeah.
And a little town called Shiloh, which was actually the first capital of Israel when the children of Israel came in for 400 years Shiloh was the place. The tabernacle rested there. It's crazy. You can go there today and you can see right where it rested.
Wow.
I mean, it's a perfect flat spot. It's about the size of a football field just right there. It's crazy. And so you realize the things, the history. And so, Hannah, she's not able to have a child, and she cries out to God and says, I'll dedicate him to you and all that, and so Samuel comes out and gives her this prophecy. Well, right on the heels of the prophecy. So again, think about this, right on the heels of this word that comes to her. This is what she says. And Hannah prayed and said, my heart exults in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord.
So
Parallelism. There you go. Ding, ding, ding. Good job.
Poetry.
Okay. So my heart exults in the Lord. My horn. Okay. Horn. If you think of an animal, what radiates from the head. Okay. A horn, like you could even say like beams of sunlight in Hebrew is like horns of sunlight. That's how they would kind of describe it, right? Yep. So she's talking about her radiance, like her countenance, her power, strength is also known as horns. So she's saying, my heart exalts in the Lord. My horn is exalted in the Lord. My strength, my energy, right? My mouth derides my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. There is none holy like the Lord, for there is none besides you. There is no rock like our God. Talk no more so very proudly. Mm-hmm. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Okay. Let not arrogance come from your mouth, for the Lord is a God of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty are broken, but the feeble bind on strength. Those who were full have hired themselves out for bread, but those who were hungry have ceased to hunger. The barren has borne 7, but she who has many children is forlorn. The Lord kills and brings to life. He brings down to Sheol and raises up. The Lord makes poor and makes rich. He brings low and he exalts. He raises up the poor from the dust. He lifts the needy from the ash heap to make them sit with princes and inherit a seat of honor. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and on them he has set the world. He will guard the feet of his faithful ones, but the wicked shall be cut off in darkness, for not by might shall a man prevail. The adversaries of the Lord shall be broken to pieces. Against them he will thunder in heaven. The Lord will judge the ends of the earth, and he will give strength to his king and exalt the horn of his anointed.
Whoa.
So hers a little longer than Mary's, but she's a little more long-winded than Mary.
But still, the parallel between those two.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Very, again, that tone of just humility, humble.
Right.
Like,
but this exalting and lifting up of who God is.
Oh,
And it's just, it's amazing worship. And so here's the thing. Number of years ago, I think Focus on the Family put out a series of teachings. It's called That the World May Know. A guy by the name of Ray Vanderland who would go on site in Israel. He goes to a few different structures that Herod has built. And if you guys ever get the chance to go to Israel, you got to go. But pay attention to structures Herod built. Herod was an incredible, incredible builder. And there's this one, it's literally a man-made mountain called the Herodian, okay? Yeah. And it's this incredible palace. I didn't get to go to the Herodian, but I went to Masada, which is like this fortress on top of this hill that looks over the Dead Sea in that region. And I tell you what, just getting up there and just seeing the models of what it must have been like, incredible. Right. Like, even by today's standards, it'd be amazing. But Herod was this incredible builder. But Herod was someone who was always clinging to power. He was incredibly paranoid. He killed members of his family because he thought they were going to take the throne. He killed he killed sons of. I mean, it's just like the guy was crazy. All right, just drunk with power. And what's nuts is we kind of know, again, this isn't in Luke, but in Matthew, we understand that when the wise men come to find Jesus, they see Herod. Hey, where's the one who's been born the king? Now think about Herod, the mighty one. What king?
Right.
Nobody taking my throne, you know? And so what ends up happening is Herod's like, hey, come back and tell me when you find this boy so I can go worship him, right? Sure. And they're like, there's this, you got this creepy twitch in your eye, Herod. I don't think I'm coming back, And so, the wise men go a different way. But then Herod orders the killing of children like age 2 and younger or whatever, right? And of course, Joseph's warned in a dream. They get out, they go to Egypt. But the crazy thing about this, one of the things that Ray Vanderland pointed out was that he goes, largely in history, think about this. Jesus in Bethlehem was born practically in the shadows of this man-made mountain from Herod. He's practically born, and he's born in a stable. He's born in a manger, most likely a cave filled with manure and straw and whatever, like this lowly place. Jesus enters in. He's born there. He's born there while Herod sits in a castle.
Yeah.
Clothed with splendor, clothed with all of this, right? Herod dies. They divide up the kingdom among his sons, and even Herod was a puppet king. I mean, he was put there by Rome just to kind of, just do your thing. Incredible architect, by the way, but I mean, like seriously, his structures are amazing. But he was so concerned with power, and here comes Jesus, taking the place of the lowly, the least of these.
Oh.
The fact that Joseph and Mary are not tithe, but that when they there's a place where they sacrifice doves or whatever, they're a poor family from Galilee.
Yeah.
Jesus comes to the lowly.
Yeah.
But if you look at history today, Herod is mostly forgotten.
Yeah.
But Jesus is a way bigger historic figure.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And we still say his name today. So much so that we celebrate Christmas to honor Jesus. You know what I mean?
Wow. Yeah.
And it's this.
Yeah.
It's the lowly being exalted. And Jesus is the ultimate identifier with the lowly.
Yeah.
So much that God of the universe took on humanity in the poorest of poor.
Oh, wow.
In the redneck backwoods waters of Israel, right?
Yeah.
The
one person that deserved to be in the palace. The one person that deserved this crazy good.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's the one that's, being born in a stable that, whoa.
Yeah. And Philippians 2:5-7 says that God has exalted him above every name. So the thing of it is like when we look at this, we look at whether it's Hannah or whether we look at Mary. Here's the thing. Mary's situation didn't change. She didn't go to the palace. She didn't go, but yet she says prophetically, this is what God has done.
Yeah.
She believed God had done this. Hannah, with her telling of this. And the thing of it is even for us today, we worship Jesus. And maybe our lives don't look a whole lot different day to day.
Yeah.
And maybe we still are in tough spots and we're going, but the thing of it is that we ultimately remember we are walking towards this destiny that has already been written. The story that's already been told, that God will do this. God keeps his word.
Yeah.
And that's what we're walking towards. And it's been cool because Jesse ordered this book. Growing up, I never really did much with Advent.
Oh, yeah.
But we're just doing it this year. And so we're kind of doing a nightly devotional and just kind of counting down. And what's really struck me is how much Advent focuses on light, and the idea of light coming into the world. And because the world's a dark place. And something that's really kind of cool is they were expecting a Messiah, and we know that he's come, but yet we're still in darkness. Just as human beings, we're still in darkness. And it's weird because this countdown and this anticipation to the birth, we as Christians, although we celebrate the birth, we're still waiting in the darkness for his return.
Yeah.
And so it's a really cool thing, the Advent, this season of like just acknowledging that Jesus is the light in the darkness, but yet he has come, but has not fully come. It's the already and the not yet of the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so Christmas, it's just been special for me this year to kind of really think about that already and not yet aspect. Jesus, you did come, but there's still more.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting, and it's still dark. It's okay. I can identify with Mary and Hannah.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So do you guys have any final thoughts, final words?
It's good. I just love Jesus just loves shaking up our own theology. And we were just talking before this, never to be wise in your own sight.
Yeah.
And he loves to point out that we're not wise in our own sight. And
very true.
it's just humbling, listening to it. And I've heard it a million times about the birth of Jesus. And there's always a new element to it that just can shift my perspective and humble me once again.
I think we say it every week, but the Bible is so stinking rich.
Yeah.
With theology, just the amount of times, like we said, I've read this story 1,000 times, but really focusing in on really like meditating on that stuff. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. In some ways, the Bible in years kind of messed us up because we kind of blazed past these things. And the things like I don't know how many times I read Mary's Magnificat and never really thought about it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The Bible is not meant to be read. It's meant to be meditated upon. And so you can only meditate. That sounds like a medical condition. You can only meditate. No, I just about said medicate. You can only meditate on so much. I mean, really, truly, because the more you cram in there, the less it,
Yep.
And so it's okay to stop and just hang out on a verse from time to time.
Yep.
So hey, that's episode 1. We're going to come back at you next week with some more bonus stuff for Christmas. But like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Hey, if you know somebody who'd be interested in this, man, email this episode to them. It doesn't cost anything.
Yes. Or text it.
Or text it and say, hey, Merry Christmas. There you go. So
don't forget about my generation, Kris. We don't use email.
Very true. Showing my age. All right, we'll see you next time.